Welcome aboard.
Thanks, Steve.
Always great to see you. And you are particularly have reason to be outraged by what took place on Fifth Avenue, not far from where we're sitting, over the weekend, the Puerto Rican Day Parade here in the city, and the honors that were bestowed upon a FALN thug, and the FALN responsible for the killing of your dad, among other people, bombings in this country. Eric Holder, when he was at Janet Reno, let these people out of prison, went to them, said, "Do you want clemency?" But talk about what happened at the parade and what officials were saying, the praise they were heaping upon this bomber.
Oscar Lopez has been considered now some sort of cause celebrity by the left. He is a terrorist. He was the leader of the FALN who blew up about 120 bombs in the U.S. And now we have Melissa Mark-Viverito, who's the #2 in New York City, praising him that he's inspirational, he's a freedom fighter.
She's a leader of the city council.
She's a leader of the city council, and the #2 to our mayor. My father grew up in New York City. He's a New York City kid. He was at Francis Tavern having lunch, and the FALN placed a bomb in there and knowingly and willfully blew up, as they put it, reactionary corporate executives. My dad was 33 years old, and he worked for a bank. Lopez was a leader. I ended up going, you mentioned that Eric Holder and the Clintons released the FALN in 1999, all except Oscar Lopez Rivera. What the left and Viverito and her cronies failed to say is that he actually turned down the clemency in 1999. Because, and we didn't know at first, but I ended up at his parole hearing in the prison in Terre Haute in 2011. He said it was because Carlos Torres, one of the other FAL members, was not offered clemency. So he was the captain going down with the ship, the tough guy. Then when Torres was paroled in 2010, the next time parole came up for Oscar Lopez, he looked to get out. And we went to the prison and we kept him in.
So why, and well, talk about what happened at the parade. I mean, what was the honor? What was the?
He's an honor of having inspiring the Puerto Rican people as a freedom fighter, as someone that they are to look up to, and he's portrayed as a Puerto Rican patriot. When 60% of Puerto Ricans in 2012 voted to become a state, only 5% have ever voted for freedom, yet they bestow on Oscar Lopez a George Washington-like title when he's a thug, as you pointed out, and a terrorist. And he wasn't out in his day, he wasn't out trying to gain people, running protests or doing anything political in the streets. He was bombing people. That's what the FALN was all about. And this is what, to see them marching up a parade ground, they had a bobblehead of him behind him and acting like he is the grand. It reminded me of when they used to call Stalin Uncle Joe, this kindly old gentleman, a kindly old terrorist, and that's what we got.
And the bobblehead and the kind words from the city council speaker who who vowed to do whatever she can to get him released.
Yeah. Now, fortunately, she has no power to get him out, but what she can do is create pressure. And I met her the night before, actually Thursday night at an event at Gracie Mansion. I introduced myself. I had written a column in the New York Post about his release, or her pushing for his release, and she got very nasty very quickly upon my introduction and claimed that he did nothing, in her words, aside from being convicted of seditious conspiracy, which is a lie. He was convicted of transporting weapons. He was convicted of having explosives. He was convicted of trying to escape from prison using blasting caps, plastic explosives, machine guns, and armor-piercing shells, and a helicopter. This is what Oscar Lopez is. He is not your run-of-the-mill prisoner, or he's certainly no kindly, Uncle Oscar.
One has to wonder what the organizers of the Puerto Rican Day Parade were thinking, what they know, how complicit are they with her? I mean, they were the ones who honored him. Yeah. What do you think they know, and are they radical like she appears to be in that from that point of view?
Well, it's hard to know, but what we do know is that the material they put out failed to mention that he tried to escape from prison. It failed to mention that he turned down clemency. So it failed to mention all those things about him. So you don't know if they're just lazy and ignorant, or if they're willfully doing this. The other thing is, if they're really searching for justice, wouldn't you want to have Lopez tell everything he knows? If he's innocent, as they claim he is, tell everything he knows, spill the beans. If you want justice, you should want justice for not only Oscar Lopez, but for the victims of the FALN, or for everybody. That's what justice is. And they're obviously not advocating justice.
The problem is, as you're well aware, and probably better aware than I am, when you talk about the FALN, when you talk about the Weather Underground, they've been glorified to the point where Robert Redford was interviewed by George Stephanopoulos about a movie he made about the Weather Underground, and he said, I'm paraphrasing here, that he was down, he was kind of down with the cause, Redford said, and Stephanopoulos said the violence, the whole thing, he said everything. So, and I'm paraphrasing, but I mean, when it goes that mainstream, and a guy like Robert Redford is not afraid to sit there and say that, you got to wonder, and God bless you, and your father has been proud of you from the time that you undertook this mission, testifying before Congress, the whole thing, educating the public, but it's got to make you bang your head against the wall a little bit.
Steve, it wears me out. I have a family, I have a wife, I have kids, I try to mix, and I have a job. I try to mix all those things, right, but also maintain what for my dad, and having you, pat me on the shoulder every once in a while and say, Joe, you're doing the right thing. I need that, because I can't believe we're living in a bizarro world sometimes, where what I know is right is called wrong. I interviewed with someone from BBC the other day, and she asked me if I was raised with hate. So, if I was raised with hate, so I asked her, and she had interviewed Oscar Lopez, and I said, well, did you ask Oscar the same question? No, she didn't ask Oscar Lopez. So I said, well, so you asked me, whose father was killed by them, if I was raised with hate, but the terrorists who actually planned it, you don't ask them those questions. So, and then she asked me,
what did she say?
That's what I say. So how can you ask me that? She didn't. She said, no, I didn't think to ask him that, but she thought to ask me that.
Ask you that.
Yeah, so we go through this constantly. I was asked why I can't forgive him. And I'm a Catholic, I go to church, I've talked to priests about it. He's not asked for forgiveness. So I am under no obligation to forgive him, but why isn't he apologizing? He had the chance. We sat across this close in the prison looking for him to say something like, I was a bad guy in my youth, I'm not anymore, I've changed. No, we got nothing. We got nothing. The four of us who were in that room were looking to say, you know what, we've had enough. We're tired.
Let me ask you a crazy question.
Sure.
What's the possibility that on his way out, Obama lets this guy out of prison?
It's a very high probability. I don't think it's a possibility. I think it's a probability. And I think it'll be the first time anyone got two clemencies for the same crimes from the president. And I think it's a disgrace, and I think it's coming. And that's one of the reasons we're talking, Steve.
What do you mean two clemencies?
Well, he was offered the clemency already. He turned it down, and now he's going to get it.
Yeah.
It's like a world record. But
well, you could get a pardon, not even a clemency.
The pardon would throw the whole record out. Yeah. But I don't think they'd go that far. But I do.
Because we're talking about the same holder, and we're talking about Obama.
It's the same holder. It's the same. Yeah, I think that it is a absolute probability, and we need to. That's why we're speaking. People need to understand when this does happen, and or maybe if we shine the light on it bright enough, even this president would be too ashamed to do something like that. But I don't see shame in his.
I'm afraid Abdel Rahman. I'm afraid of the terrorist Lopez that we're discussing here, Rivera. I'm afraid of a lot. So, but other than that, is it year by year parole?
No, what happened was in 2011, parole was denied after we were there, and it was delayed. He doesn't have another hearing until 2000, and I think it's 23 or 26.
Okay,
so there's no parole.
Yeah.
I think he's 70 or 71. If he makes it to 2023, but I think you're going to see that this president is going to try to release him.
Joe, God bless you, man.
Anytime,
I'm proud to be
Steve.
your friend. Really
Me
am.
too. I'm glad
You're
to
a
have
great
you,
man.
You're a good
All
man.
right, folks. Joe Connor, and keep this issue out there. And there's so many issues to keep out there. I understand that, and Joe hasn't been just focused like a laser beam on this issue, uniquely or just by itself. He's been involved in a lot of the terrorism issues facing our country and is really a terrorism expert when it comes to that. All right, folks, when we come back, it will be time for the Malsberg panel. And we have a lot to throw around. We have this, and we have Hillary with a lot of statements she has made on her book tour. I don't even know what I'm doing here. I should be down at Union Square getting my copy of the book signed. Of course, you can't ask her a question, but you can buy her book. Don't go away.